Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Modernism Real Estate Podcast. This is a nonchalant, comfortable conversation between two good-looking realtors about what's happening in today's market and real estate topics. We just hope that you guys enjoy our conversations and maybe learn a thing or two. So go ahead and hit that follow or subscribe button, and we hope you enjoy.
Oh, and the like. And the like
as well.
Well, thanks for the intro, Sam. I'm glad that we're doing this. And for our first ever episode, this is episode 1, the Modernism Real Estate Podcast. I thought that we could talk about just the essentials, what you need to know to buy a home. Let's talk about it as if, someone that's never gone through the process before.
Yeah, definitely. And right? Just to state, I did state this before.
Yeah.
To our listeners here, but this is really just a nonchalant conversation. Like it's conversations that we have every day with other people, with other realtors, other prospective buyers, or just people in general. And and I figured that I learned so much from these conversations that I figured why not just record it and have other people listen.
Have it out there.
Yeah, exactly. Because I feel like a lot of people can learn from these conversations, and they have the ability to hear in on these conversations now. So
yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, just conversing. We're walking around the real estate office and talking to lender that's here or other real estate agents.
Absolutely.
Like what's going on and
yeah,
no, definitely.
So today we'll be going over the process of buying home.
The process.
Okay, awesome.
And I broke it down into 4 milestones. So basically, it can get complicated and feel like a really big endeavor, which is why there are so many people involved.
Definitely.
Right? Not only the real estate agents, but you've got the lender, you've got the bank, the appraiser, the inspector, contractors.
Title and escrow too.
Title and escrow outside of the buyer and the seller. So it's, it can build up, can be complicated, but I just wanted to break it to 4 milestones.
Yeah, definitely.
Basically.
And hopefully this conversation, this process may seem a little intimidating.
Yeah.
But I think through this conversation, we can make it actually not as intimidating as it seems. Like the process will actually be a lot easier and more feasible, more digestible, in a sense.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so what are your milestones that you got actually?
Yeah, so milestone number one is identifying your criteria. What kind of house do you want, and identifying your budget.
Now, when you say like criteria, are you talking about like lifestyle, your like convenience of like or in a sense like where you're at in life in terms of if you're starting a family or if you're looking to get into your first home type of deal, right?
Yeah, definitely. And so it's what kind of home do I want to live in, and also thinking about what kind of home can I afford. Right? Am I buying like my dream home or am I buying my first home?
Tip. Your first home is not your forever home. A lot of people actually use their first home to gain equity and get into their next home. Statistically, I don't know if you knew this, but buyers or homeowners, they actually stay in the house for 7 to 8 years. Their first home, typically.
Yeah, I've seen that from the NAR, the National Association of Realtors.
Okay, nice. Yeah, so I don't think I understand like your first home is a huge decision and a huge I guess milestone for you.
Right.
Just know that it's not going to be for the rest of your life though. Because on average, it's 7 to 8 years.
7 to 8.
Yeah, and who knows? Like you're going for something better at the end of that, process or journey or whatever home that you end up buying.
Yeah.
And if it is your forever home, great. That is your forever home. You love your home. You can't argue with that.
Totally. And yeah, I know you can look at because the mortgage loan, like the most traditional term, is 30 years. So you're like, man, I'm buying this house for, I'm going to have it for 30 years. But, but no, people, sell and move. And it's really just the difference between do you want to rent and buy. And one thing that I want to mention that you said, like building equity. So basically, when you're paying your mortgage, like part of that is going to be paying down equity in the home. And then the second part is going to be the cost of the mortgage, basically the cost of the financing.
Yeah.
So whereas, when you're paying rent, basically, the landlord or the company that owns the house, like if you live in an apartment complex, they're probably paying a mortgage too. But they're using your money.
Yeah. The biggest factor to buying a home or the benefits of buying a home versus renting is you can rent, but you wouldn't be getting any equity, essentially. I think as we move forward with 2023 and as time goes on, the prices of homes are just always going to appreciate because that's just how homes work. Homes will always appreciate. It depends on which areas appreciate faster, but
and we saw it like go crazy, like, and with the stock market too in the past few years where like home prices go up 10% in 1 year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unsustainable.
Yeah. And even if it goes down, it climbs up even higher.
Yeah. In the long term, it goes up, home prices go up like 2 to 4%.
Yeah.
And part of that has to do with land. Like there's, not a limitless supply of land. Like there's always building and there's more people. Yeah. But also just the cost of materials to build houses is going up with inflation.
Yeah. And so really the point that I'm trying to make here is renting, you're not putting that towards your own equity.
Yeah.
In a sense, a home is an asset that you build over time. And every time you rent or put money in that monthly rent, that's money that you're not putting in your monthly mortgage towards, that will benefit you towards in the end.
Totally.
I think a good way to look at it is you should be like a home is an investment. It's an asset and an investment. And that investment should get you to your next investment, which is your next home. And that second investment should go to your third investment, which it would be your third home per se.
Totally.
I think that's the best way to kind of look at home buying in general.
Right. I think like people like us, or if you're younger, this is especially true because investments, stable, sturdy investments are really long term. So, building with the investment mindset as well is, not just a home, but an investment, something that'll not only hold value, but bring up value a little bit for you in the future.
Also, so milestone 1 was defining a criteria and finding out your buying power as a buyer.
Totally.
Essentially. And I think that's a great segue to the second milestone, right? Which is finding out your buying power, or I guess it would be getting pre-approved.
Getting pre-approved. 2 is actually reaching out first, finding a real estate agent, a buyer's agent, real estate agent that'll help you interpret what you want, and someone that'll actually know the ins and outs of the neighborhood. I just said Duval, but say if you said, I don't want to live, close to Seattle, I want to live a little farther out. Well, I would know, you would know that like Duval is a good option, especially if you want maybe a new build home. So kind of interpreting that. And then more discovering actually what you can afford with a lender. So whether you find that lender through the real estate agent or on your own through looking, someone that's actually like looking at your tax returns and basically actually pre-approving you. Yeah.
So I think one thing that we should all note here is a lot of real estate agents, they have a lot of lenders. Like they were almost kind of required to build a team essentially, which is like, I believe it was like, for us, it was like 3 lenders and maybe like 2 other title and escrow companies or something like that.
Okay, I know what you're saying now.
Yeah. So getting a budget.
Totally.
So I believe so when it comes to defining a budget, there's pre-approval and then pre-qualification.
Right.
You want to tell us the difference between the two?
Yeah, so this is a good question all the time, I think, because they sound very similar, but one is kind of rated by a bank and a lender that's actually looked through your finances, and the other is just something that I can get online. Like if I go to,
which one's the one that you get online?
I don't know, like rocketmortgage.com, like I can, or just one of those sites.
Or
like,
the emails like from your bank saying, hey, you're approved for a loan.
Yeah, or like Credit Karma, like will like send me an email that's like, you could afford like an $850,000 home.
That is a pre-qual.
That's a pre-qual. Or that the email stuff, I don't even think is a pre-qual, but basically it's just where you go online, a pre-qualification, you go online, they have like, enter in your income. You enter your income in, you enter maybe like one or two other things, and they say, okay, with what you've told us, you could afford this amount.
Yeah, and
so and they give you a little like printout, but it's unverified. Yeah. So that's the main thing. Pre-qualification is kind of unverified information.
Okay, so it seems like a pre-approval is a more solid idea of what your buying power is.
Right. Yeah. Pre-approval is like you actually sat down with a lender, or in this day and age, I know lenders that are like doing stuff on Zoom basically. But you've connected with the lender, and they've actually like, looked at your job, like they've looked at your tax returns, like they look at your bank account,
your income, just your debt to income ratio and things like that.
No, definitely. Yeah. And even further, there are some lenders that like offer what they call a fully underwritten pre-approval, where they're basically even verifying more information and getting you ready so that when when you put an offer on a house, it's like guaranteed basically.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It like,
so it bulletproofs your...
Yeah, it bulletproofs it. It makes it faster too, where you're not spending like a month.
Less likely for your...
With a lender.
Less likely for your offer to fall through. Like,
totally.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. I think one other thing about pre-approvals and pre-qualifications is I've had a lot of people come up to me and they say like, oh, I just went to my bank and I got a pre-approval or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And I think going to a bank is great. That's a great start. But I think you are also very like limiting yourself as a buyer if you go just to a bank.
Why is that?
Like, for instance, like I was just speaking to my loan officer the other day, and he was telling me that he works with 187 different lenders. Like, really? That's, in a sense, like, they work with 187 different mortgage companies and between all these mortgage companies, there are different policies. There's different, I guess, tolerances or not. I don't want to say tolerances.
Different, what's the word we're thinking of? I mean,
I guess flexibility when it comes to the amount that you are going to get for your loan.
Yeah.
Some are more flexible, some are more strict, but I would rather have that option there and have my loan officer kind of work their magic and like get me the best loan possible. That's the other thing. I feel like a lot of people think that loan officers are just, like maybe like just trying to get a quick buck, and like throw them whatever loan.
Right.
But I don't think they would be doing their job well if that's what they've been doing this whole time. They obviously have...
If you're like long lasting, if you're like making a career of it.
Yeah, real estate agents have these rules and laws about treating our clients at a fair and professional level, and I'm pretty sure loan officers have that as well. Yeah, and meaning fair and professional, meaning like finding the best service, because obviously as loan officers, they want to keep on continuing their business, word of mouth referrals, whatever, this and that, right? Yeah. And the only way to do that is to actually give good service and get the loans that, that really do benefit them. So,
and that's the, so the loan officer, their title is a mortgage broker, whereas a mortgage banker is someone that works for a bank and has that one pipeline. Yeah. But a broker can broker it off to different
Yeah, I don't want to I don't want to badmouth the mortgage bankers or anything in any way. Like, that's not my aim. Yeah. I'm just saying you have a lot more options and to be more flexible to get what you want.
Yeah, I think yeah, you're right. There's good, and bad to both.
I feel like if you were to work with a mortgage banker, like this is the loan you're gonna get, and that's what you stick with, right? Whereas a lender or loan officer, let's say you as a buyer are having a tough time getting approved for a loan from like different lenders, but they have 187 different lenders that they can work with, Now, like maybe this other lender will approve you, or this other lender will give you even more,
So what we're talking about, let's talk about a few different types of loans. Basically, I mean, I might be watching this and thinking, well, what are the different loans? Like, it's not just like one loan, or different programs. So
I mean, I guess this is kind of since this is a beginner's guide for for buying a home. I would assume that there's a lot of first-time home buyers out there,
right?
And I think talking about the loans would be pretty good. Actually, quick note. I didn't know this until the other day when I was talking to my loan officer. I talk to my loan officer a lot, actually. But you are a first-time home buyer if you have not bought a home within 3 years.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and you also need to not currently have a home, right? So if you
Is that
I think so. I think if you sell your house and you don't have your house for 3 years.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like you buy a home and then 3 years pass by and then you're another first time. The reason why I say like that in a very astonishing tone, I guess, is because I think there are a lot of benefits to being a first time home buyer, and it makes buying a home a lot less intimidating.
Totally.
Yeah. Although if you have bought a home previously, you do have a great track record of paying on your loan and things like that. So that's, But let's say there are people out there who don't have a good track record. 3 years pass by, they don't have a home, and, they are considered a new first time home buyer. And so what that does with the loans, now I'm not a lender or anything, so I can't really speak.
We are.
Yeah, we're not lenders.
Real estate agents, both of us, but
this is, I guess we're kind of just speaking.
But we're pretty knowledgeable on different, kind of thinking of, okay, first time home buyer, FHA loans, for instance, are really good 3.5% down.
Yeah, that's another thing. A lot of people think, oh man, I need to save so much money, 20%, 30%, 25%, this and that. And for a $500,000 home,
that's only 18,000 for 3.5% down,
compared to $100,000 down payment.
So
the FHA loan requires you to put down 3%. Sometimes I actually learned this the other day. There is a USDA loan for 0%.
Yeah, those are the USDA loans.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
And
I thought that was only the VA loans that was allowed to do that.
So it's U.S. Department of Agriculture, and those are loans. So the FHA loan is Federal Housing Administration, and the USDA, U.S. Department of Agriculture. Those are both guaranteed and backed by those government institutions, basically. So that's why they're you get a better deal, basically.
Yeah, and so I was my loan officer told me about that, and there is this map that shows you that's applicable for all USDA loans.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, where we live, it's not applicable for us. It's more for I believe on the map it showed Everett, Seattle, everything from Everett, Seattle, Renton, Tacoma, Federal Way,
is too population dense, because they're for rural or suburban.
Now there is a neighboring city that I do know of, Enumclaw. Enumclaw is actually, you can get a 0% down USDA loan.
Yeah, and it's not that far away either.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's as far away. You don't have to go to center of Washington, basically.
That's a 20-minute drive from Auburn, honestly.
Right.
And for those of you guys listening, if you guys don't know Washington State area, Auburn is kind of like a suburb.
Yeah, a suburb of
like
Seattle.
Small, quiet town.
South of Seattle.
South of Seattle.
Yeah.
Maybe like 30, 40 minutes away, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, around 30 minutes. If you drive fast.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, so different kind of loans, right?
Yeah, okay. We kind of went over, we went over FHA, US. And, I mean, one thing I want to point out that, actually talking about, have you seen The Big Short? Have you seen The Big Short, with like Michael Burry and...
I actually haven't.
You haven't seen The Big Short?
No, I haven't.
What? You haven't seen The Big Short?
Oh,
with Christian Bale.
Yeah, I think I've seen like clips of it, but I've never seen the whole movie. I did need to take a look at that God. Because it looks good.
Awesome. Well, yeah, and Steve Carell too. It's great. And Margot Robbie. I think.
Yeah. There's
Ryan. Anyway,
they're like a mortgage company, right?
Yeah. So Michael Burry is a like investor in real life, and he basically like predicted the 2008 housing crash by seeing that like all these like loans were actually not as good as they were written down on paper to be. All that to say that all loans basically, a bank has two options with a mortgage loan actually. So they can either have their own, they can either hold the loan on the books, like say they give you a mortgage and okay, Sam owes me $800,000 for this mortgage. So they could either hold that debt or they could just sell your mortgage to the secondary market, the stock market, basically.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of loans have this like list of things that need to like be, like the amount down that you need, or like if you need to have mortgage insurance, like they kind of demand that because you're selling it to the secondary market.
Okay.
And it's this like bigger process, but that's essentially why like guidelines exist basically, and to protect
so that they can sell it to the secondary market.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, gotcha.
So I think that's a little bit why.
Yeah, that's more. That concept is more for, I guess, like loan officers. I don't see how a home buyer would.
No, I know.
They would be very intimidated if they
like what.
But like, that's not really. You guys don't have to worry about it. Because,
I'm sorry. I'm not.
I think that could definitely intimidate someone with that kind of knowledge. But just know that like.
I get too advanced there for you for the. Talking about the
just a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit.
I'm sure.
Okay, so
we
Milestone.
were all in Robinhood last year.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. We were all there. Comment down below if you were on Robinhood trading.
Okay, so milestone number 2 was getting pre-approved for a mortgage, not pre-qual, pre-approved. Not pre-qual.
You were on Robinhood, weren't you?
I actually wasn't.
You weren't?
No.
All right. I'll get off.
I'm not really a trader or anything like that. Yeah. But I have thought about getting into it. But we're getting off topic here.
Sure. Okay.
So milestone number 2 was getting pre-approved, not pre-qual. Pre-approved. Nice. Okay, so milestone number 3.
Okay, so milestone number 3 is actually starting to search for your home. And so this is, you've gotten the pre-approval, you know what you want, you know what kind of house you want, you know everything, you're working with a real estate agent who's helping you find stuff, you're searching for the home. So you're looking, on what we have called the multiple listing service. That's actually where all homes are listed for sale. Like when I put a home up for sale, I'm putting it on the MLS.
Okay, so just to recap here.
Yeah.
Milestone number 1 was defining a criteria.
Defining criteria, yes.
Defining your budget and finding an agent. So essentially, in other words, it's where you're at in life, like what kind of home you're looking for, finding an agent and finding a lender, essentially.
Yeah, that's number 1.
Yeah, that is step 1.
Step 1. And then step 2 is
getting pre-approved. Not pre-qual.
Not pre-qual.
Pre-approved.
Pre-approved.
Yeah.
Remember that. Pre-approved.
All right.
And then number 3 is searching for the home. Basically, okay,
the The most fun part.
The most fun
people.
part.
Yeah.
Looking around, not only looking online, like, but actually going in and touring houses and seeing like, oh, do I actually like this like open floor plan?
Dude,
or
honestly,
you know,
sometimes even as a younger kid, like like when I was younger, I would love to go to open houses.
Oh yeah.
Just to, see it. Like it's just so, I don't know, exciting. Did you ever find that exciting?
Yeah. As a kid, I never like went to open houses.
Okay, like when I say kid, like I'm talking about like
right.
18, 19, 20.
Okay.
Like,
yeah. When I was just starting, like,
yeah,
or before I like was in real estate. Yeah. No,
they're always fun. Yeah.
Always good to see. Yeah, I know. It's always fun to like an open house on the weekend too, or like fun. Like I always love going to like the $4 million house. Like what's going on?
Yeah,
there,
if my neighbors have an open house, you bet your ass I'll be there.
No, just to see what are they doing there.
Yeah, like because I've never seen the inside of their home, so like, I always want to see.
You want to know?
Yeah, but now that I'm a real estate agent, like I have access to like certain like the MLS, and they have pictures there too. So
yeah,
I mean, not that I'm creeping or anything like that. No.
Yeah. And then touring, like, you're not just doing open houses, but touring with your agent. So like, basically like the process that I do with my clients is, okay, once we have everything defined, we're looking online. Like I'm looking online for them, but I mean, they're also free to look online themselves.
Okay, yeah. Actually,
what were you gonna say?
I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
So when you are working with a client, you're finding the right home for your client, essentially. Yeah. What are the most common things that your clients come up to you and I guess tell you what they're looking for? The most off the bat, not three, but like bedrooms, bathrooms.
Yeah, they'll tell me bedroom, bathroom. Okay.
Location.
Do I want to be like on a main street or in a smaller feeling like community? Okay. What kind of area? And just giving me kind of basics, and I can always be there to say, oh, okay, well, I'm thinking of this area, or I'm thinking of this community. Thinking of what may work, but that's generally, I mean, they tell me their criteria, then I'm on the back end, I'm like of MLS, I'm looking and I'm sending them property. Hey, I think this might be a good fit. What do you think of the photos here? How does it sound? And then we'll actually if we really like it, if they really like it, then we'll schedule a tour and we'll go see it.
Okay. What do you think is things that a buyer should know or look for, essentially, that they don't commonly ask?
Should look for. Well, definitely.
Other than like the common like bed, bathrooms.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Location.
Yeah. I think one tip is just like see the house like in all times of day, basically. So like, or like to really know the community, like go there not only in the daytime but also in the nighttime. Like even if it's not like a sketchy neighborhood, but like kind of get to know the community, drive around, like know what's going on there. Like maybe I always like going to coffee shops and asking like, what do you think of living here in Fremont? How's everything going over here? What's up? As a homeowner, I think that's really like useful to, and even my clients too, like if we go to lunch together, they'll always, like I commonly see them on their own ask people like, hey, what do you think of living, up here in Whidbey Island? Like, how's it going up here?
Yeah. For me personally, I think it's more so like every home's going to appreciate no matter what. Actually, I took a look at the MLS, the InfoSparks. InfoSparks is like this data tool that we use, and it puts it into infographics essentially. Yeah. And I looked at one of my realtor friends showed me this. It was a price of the median home prices in Bellevue, Seattle, and I did one in Federal Way because that's where I live.
Right.
And you can see it from a like long period of time where it was like I think today's date all the way to, and I did it back to the 2008, where the market crashed, right?
Yeah.
So I think around 2008, I think homes in Federal Way were around like 250, 300K, right? Right now it has doubled to that. So it's around six, like the median home prices in Federal Way is 600. Bellevue was at 400. And back in 08.
Yeah.
Now median home prices in Bellevue are 1.2. It tripled.
So some areas appreciate faster than others.
And so like when it comes to finding the right property, for me personally, I want to put my clients in a property where I know that they'll be in good hands whenever, like, if they sell later down the road.
Right.
Essentially, like, I want them to find a property that will appreciate very well, more so than your average property.
Yeah.
Now, those are typically a little hard because there are a lot of different factors into that. For instance, like the reason why Bellevue became so huge was because it was the hub for all the big tech companies. So a lot of tech people were moving in out of state, and they were looking for somewhere that was close to work. And Bellevue was,
totally.
Why not live 5 minutes away from work?
And Seattle got, too
Seattle,
expensive too. So
Seattle got really expensive too.
So,
just not as expensive as Bellevue.
No, you're right. So I think there's I don't know, people and Bellevue's a little smaller, and I think a lot of companies, maybe were moving or having offices move out of Seattle into Bellevue too. So that was a factor as well.
I think this is just kind of speculation I mean, I live in Federal Way. I lived there all my life. And I think Federal Way might be climbing up a little bit as well, because we're just implementing the light rail.
You're right.
Yeah, and the light rail goes from, it's just going to keep on going more down south, I think, over time. But right now it's in Federal Way, and it's going to allow you to go all the way to Seattle. It is a good indicator, I will say. And we like to go on patterns and indications to determine what might happen to the market later.
You're trying to see, okay, there's bound to be more economy coming here in the future if there's a light rail nearby.
Yeah, and so that's my biggest thing, is finding a property that will appreciate and that will serve the clients a lot better later. Totally. And things like that would be finding a good neighborhood, finding a neighborhood that may be redeveloped over time more and more, or refurbished, rehabbed in a way. Because when you find a home and other homes are being built up better, that raises the home prices in that specific neighborhood. Essentially, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another part for finding the right home, I do want to ask is, what are the benefits of using an agent rather than just going on Zillow or Redfin per se? Or I know Redfin actually has agents now. So I guess Redfin wouldn't really be part of that, but I kind of wanted to ask you, what are the benefits of using an agent rather than finding it yourself?
Other than just looking at properties, I mean, Zillow and Redfin and all those sites, they have basically all the properties that are listed on the market. They just take in all the data that's on the MLS and feed it to those sites. So you're seeing everything that's on the market, basically. Noting, I think having an agent helping you too is fine. An agent is going to know a little bit more about zoning, or a little bit about, okay, is this property going to qualify for USDA, for instance, because it's location based.
Oh, okay. So
just having that, if a client says, Bruce, I'm looking for a USDA property that I can buy right now, 3-bed, 2-bath, but I also want to be able to maybe in 2 years move out of this house and then keep it as a rental. So can you find me something that's going to also have a good rental value?
Gotcha.
So I'm also doing that analysis for my clients on, okay, does the property actually work? And I'm actually doing the research for them to see okay, is there a good
like rental,
and
rental flow, rental cap.
particularly with investments too. I like being really hands on and like doing that research for them.
And there are a lot of investors out there these days.
Yeah, definitely. And even if you're not, as I said, like if you're buying the home, wouldn't you want maybe the opportunity to at least know that, okay, this could be a good rental property if I ever decide that I want to move somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. So
and just keep the property.
So essentially, just a more curated search.
More curated, yeah.
And more, I guess, technical in a sense.
Yeah. You actually don't like it's not a law. Like you don't need to have an agent.
You don't need to.
You don't need to, but it's like there's like a ton of contracts, and it's such a process.
Yeah.
That if you're not using an agent, you're just so unprotected.
If it was, and if it was like a hot market where houses are just gone like that, right?
Right.
Why not just, if you saw a house that day and you're like, oh my God, I need to put an offer today.
No, I know.
Otherwise, definitely. I'm going to lose it. Call up your agent right now.
I mean,
rather than like, oh man, I got to look for an agent, something like that.
No, totally. Yeah. You don't like represent yourself in court, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not like full-fledged lawyers, but knowing like all the legal and the contracts and
definitely.
At least for me, what about for you?
Oh yeah, definitely. You don't want to accidentally break the law in any way, shape, or form, obviously.
Yeah.
So having an agent would definitely benefit you in that way.
In that way as well.
Yeah, it's more convenient unless if you're willing to do the search yourself. Then go for it. But why not get a second pair of eyes or a second mind to different perspective in your home buying process and they're only, as agents, they are thinking in your best interest as well. It's not like they're trying to put you in a home like just because
No, I mean when I sign that like agreement with my buyer, I'm their it's called fiduciary representative.
Yeah.
And that means your interests above my own. Yeah. So, contractually I'm obligated to perform that service to the best of my abilities.
Nice. And then I think the offer part, having an agent where they put in the offer can lead us to our step number 4, which is make an offer.
Make an offer. Mm-hmm. Make an offer and close in your home. It's all in one last step.
Okay. So
number 4.
Do you want to tell the viewers, what are the steps for making an offer? So it's pretty easy, but
pretty simple. You go into a house that you really like and you say, hey, I really want to make an offer on this property. And so you have some things to figure out here. You have some terms to figure out. Okay, what price are you going to offer? When do you want to close? When's the closing date going to be? How much earnest money are you going to put up? Mm-hmm. Do you want to have a home inspection? Are you using lending? Is your financing in place? All of those terms are in the contract. Mm-hmm. And essentially, throughout this whole process, we've been building up. We've been basically deciding a lot of that stuff. Mm-hmm. It's always advised to get a home inspection on the property. And maybe you want to there are a lot of specialized cases. We could talk hours.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
In the most simple terms, I like this house. I want to put an offer on it. What's it listed at? Okay, let's do some research. And is this a fair price? Is there any competition on the home? And that'll dictate a little bit about what kind of terms that we put into the offer. But essentially, the most basic is what price am I offering? When's my close date?
Yeah. This is particularly one of my favorite steps as well. Only because I get to negotiate. And I think negotiations is a very exhilarating feeling for me. Just imagine they have a listing price, right? But you don't offer it, you go something with lower. And the fact that you just shot your shot and got it, one of the best feelings, unmatched. You cannot replicate that feeling in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
It's one of and I think me as a person, I think I like to be a little creative in my own ways. And what other better way to be creative than using financing contingencies, strategies to putting an offer on your home.
Right.
So for those of you that are first time home buyers, you'll probably hear the word contingencies.
Yeah. What is a contingency?
So I guess they're more like prerequisites of what need to happen before you close on that home.
Yeah.
So on a home, when you put in an offer, essentially a contingency is like there's different kinds of contingencies. There's financing contingencies, inspection contingencies. There's
feasibility contingency
okay.
if you're like buying a piece of land that you want to build on.
So the financing contingency is you can put in an offer on the home right now, even though that you're fine. Like let's say you're not fully pre-approved for your loan, essentially. Right. Now you're hoping that you're gonna get pre-approved for your loan, but that takes some time, and time kind of kills your offer. Like a seller wants to see an offer like right away, obviously, to know or engage how serious
and
you
want
are.
to lock that up too, so
that exactly, so that other people don't put offers on it.
Totally.
Yeah, exactly. So the financing contingency states pretty much that like I'm gonna put an offer on this home for this amount of money, with like this kind of down payment, this kind of earnest money deposit, only if I get approved for my loan.
Only if if financing fails.
So if you're not approved for your loan, then you are secured as the buyer, and you get to keep all your earnest money that you would typically have lost if you didn't sign or go with the financing contingency.
Right. So it's like you're like contingent.
It's almost like an exit strategy in a way.
Yeah, it's an exit. No, absolutely. Yeah. I was trying to find the words. I couldn't say it better than that. Exit strategy.
I mean, obviously, like when it comes to home, you want the home that you put an offer on.
You want to feel certain that like you're going to be able to purchase that house.
Yeah. When the market was super hot, there was no such thing as financing contingencies, no such thing as inspection contingencies.
And the inspection contingencies. Say you have the home inspection, they found like a huge crack in the foundation. That's detrimental. You say, well, I don't actually want to buy this house anymore. Like an inspection contingency. You can walk away from that, basically, under that contingency.
You can still put an offer on it, but that inspection contingency kind of holds you back from closing on that deal until everything is inspected in the home. That way you can like find the latent defects, which is like hidden defects, like things that you wouldn't be able to, you as a home buyer would not be able to see. Like an actual inspector actually comes by, takes a look at the home, sees if it's good, and what if he finds something that, that is detrimental to, the safety of the home. Like if you didn't sign that inspection contingency, you would have been locked in with that offer, or if you got out, you would have lost your earnest money. So having that inspection contingency is pretty crucial. It's crazy to think that during the hot market that was being waived.
In 2021, wild, because you're like up against.
I don't care if this house falls on me, I'm gonna buy it.
I mean, there was a house in Bellevue that when there was a news story, I think on like Seattle Times, it went $1 million over a list price.
Yeah.
So that was the term. But then then you're thinking. But then I'm thinking like, okay, I can't win on price.
I heard about that story. Actually.
You heard about that?
Yeah, crazy. Someone told me, I forgot who it was, but this lady really was very particular on a certain neighborhood in Bellevue, and she was just getting beat out from every offers, like from the other homes that were being listed in that neighborhood, I guess.
Yeah,
and she really wanted to secure that home, and so this was during the hot market where everyone was listing 150, 200,000 over. She just dropped a big bomb and was like, I'm gonna bid $1 million over so no one beats me. She got the home, but
wow,
at what cost?
At what cost? So when you're not, what I was saying was, so if you're like not certain that you could win on price, then in what was happening last year, then I've got to do something to my terms. So I'm going to say, you know what? No inspection contingency. I don't even care. I don't want to inspect the house. Even if and people were doing like, yeah, I'll still inspect it, but I won't back out. Like, or financing contingency, or just like, even if my financing fails, I'm still buying the house.
There is definitely a strategy when it comes to putting an offer on the home.
Yeah.
It really, like this strategy really can determine or kind of portray how serious you are of a buyer to the seller, and it can really shift the perspective of which way or which person the seller wants to sell to.
Yeah.
So although they don't like see you in person, or like I think that contact is illegal or something like that. Like buyers aren't allowed to directly contact the seller.
Yeah. Well, I've actually learned this, I learned this a few years ago that, I mean, they're not like buyers and sellers aren't legally bound or contractually bound by anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have agents, we have these rules and regulations on how we must act and how we must negotiate it to be ethical.
Mm-hmm.
And those are rules that we have to follow, but buyers and sellers aren't tied down. So they could basically do it, they can, like, there's no contact like limit or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that there's, we like to have that healthy, wall up between, there's the seller, seller's agent, buyer's agent, and buyer.
Mm-hmm.
So the agents are communicating and negotiating on behalf of their client.
Yeah.
The buyer and the seller, to my knowledge, I think they, it's free reign. You can do whatever you want because you're not like a professional that's, you're not like an agent that's bound by ethics.
Okay, gotcha.
But I think I definitely advise that, like, you have something to say?
Actually, go ahead. Finish.
Yeah, I definitely advise, like, having that wall up, it makes it a lot smoother.
Yeah.
Having, negotiating makes it a lot smoother.
There was a topic that we talked about, which was overbidding.
Right.
And I remember that we were talking about the escalation clause. That is a pretty fun, very interesting strategy, I guess.
Yeah.
And I would only use that during like a
heavy competition.
Yeah. I guess it's not really fun per se, but it is more competitive.
I think if you're like going into bidding on a home and that there's another buyer or there are a few other buyers that are also going to be putting in offers.
Yeah.
That escalation clause
will come in really handy.
Well, you tell me what it is.
Yeah, so the escalation clause isn't a contingency like we mentioned, so you can still have your contingencies not waived and still have those in place.
Right.
But you can have your escalation clause, I believe.
Yeah, it's an additional portion thing to the contract that you can add.
So let's say there's a $500,000 home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Homes are getting overbid by like 100 over, 150 over, 200 over, right?
That's a lot over. 20% over?
Let's just say it's a hard, let's just say a very hard market.
Let's just say 20% over.
20% over,
all right? Sure.
So essentially what the escalation clause allows you to do is it allows you to beat all the incoming offers, right? Now you can set that limit. Let's say like, hey, I'm gonna offer 500,000, but I'm gonna place a escalation clause on my offer, and I'm gonna go 5,000 over the highest bid,
right?
Essentially. So rather and I want it to be capped at 200,000 over.
You cap it so it's not like unlimited.
Yeah, essentially.
Totally.
Now let's say you place that in, and then you have your offer in and other people are coming, they want to see this home, they want to put offers on it.
Yeah.
So you originally went in at 500,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then other people start bidding 510, 520, 525, 540, 600, right? Your offer is still beating them by that $5,000 margin.
Right.
Because that's what you stated in the escalation clause, essentially.
Yeah, you're not going back and forth.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, I guess I'll move my offer. It's just automatically.
Yeah.
Your offer, and if the seller signs that, automatically your offer is going to be whatever the other thing was plus 5,000.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to we stated that there was a $200,000 cap on that, right?
Yeah.
So let's say it doesn't even get to anywhere close to that $200,000 gap or that cap. Let's say someone offered just 550 over, right? And now you're still beating them by 555, right? And that means you set a cap. It doesn't mean that your cap is going to beat theirs. It doesn't. It's not going to the full length of that cap. It's just going 5 over. The only time it doesn't apply is if they offered 700,000, which was 200,000 over the listing price, and which is your cap, because like at that point you're like, oh no, I don't want to pay more for that house.
Totally.
You know? And so it's just the escalation clause is a way to keep your offer in the competitive loop, and when I guess in a way secure that offer or that deal.
Totally.
Essentially.
And I want to mention, I should mention that I don't see escalation clauses. They kind of fell off the face of the earth, I feel like, because
I mean with today's market for sure.
And it's definitely still home specific. I feel like if,
but it would have worked so well for that lady that bid $1 million over. I don't, maybe she did.
I know. Why shouldn't you? No, that's a good thought. I'm curious.
Yeah. Maybe she did use it. I don't know. Maybe someone did offer like, 900 thousand over the list.
No, you are right, because it'll kind of like protect you where you're just like going a little bit of you're not just like,
that way you're not wasting like, what if the second best offer was like 1.3 and she just beat them by like 700 grand. Yeah.
But anyway, I'm curious there.
Yeah, she could have put in an offer for 1.4 or 1.5.
So kind of the second part of step 5 is close.
Yeah.
So Sam, tell me a little bit about that process. What is close? There's this period of time before, like from when you make the offer to when you close and own the home. What is that?
So close, let's start with the closing date.
Yeah.
So the closing date is determined on the purchase and sale agreement. So that's the day when that home is completely taken off the market. They are getting ready, financing and title and escrows all getting prepared to transfer all the ownership from one owner to the other. Now, a lot of people think closing date is the day that they move in. They're actually very different dates. Closing date is actually the move-in date can be scheduled,
can be the same.
Yeah, it can be the same, but that's something that you have to agree on with the sellers and things like that.
Totally. If you're again using financing, if you have a loan, I think there's a 6-month, it could be, I think it's 3 months. It's either 3 to 6 months, up to the discretion of the lender, that you can't, you have to move in at that point. But
another thing about the closing date is also like no one can back out, essentially. Right?
Of what?
Of like no one can back out of the purchase. Like the seller can't say, "Oh, I don't want to sell it anymore. It's already closed."
Oh yeah, if you're like 3 days from close or something like that.
Yeah.
If you're early on and you're still in that home inspection contingency or financing contingency, then yeah. But if you're past all that, and you're like 2 days from close, you can't just like back out then.
Yeah.
Basically.
Or even on closing date, they're not allowed to take any offers, any other offers or anything like that. Like what if someone like came in with a lot more bigger offer?
Yeah, you're already through that process.
Yeah, you've already closed. You can't. It's already off the market.
Totally.
It's been mutually accepted. So
yeah,
that's essentially what the closing date is. And that, I think closing takes around a month after you put in your offer, or after your, like the whole process of like closing, title and escrow, and everything. That takes around like a month. Let's say everything were to go smoothly after you get your offer, you put in your offer and it gets accepted. Expect around like a month for it to be like closed.
Around a month, definitely.
Because title and escrow need time to like get all the paperwork transferred over, verify the finances of the buyer and things like that.
Totally.
And they like to give themselves a little bit more room just in case if things get backed up or something like unpredictable happens where we have a problem with this financing or this loan or the title to the property is something's wrong with it. It gives them time to fix it, and then and so that's why it takes around like a month or so. Is there anything else that you think is important that we should mention pertaining to making an offer or that final step?
No, I think I mean, I think we covered them. I mean, those are basic, the real basics, the 4 steps. And I know we got off on a little tangent. So those were fun.
Okay. So you want to list the 4 steps again?
So 4 steps, figuring out what kind of home you want and figuring out roughly what you think that you want to pay for your home.
Yeah, your lifestyle, and then
and then
defining a criteria.
Defining your criteria, linking up with a real estate agent that's going to help you with that. And then just
finding a lender as well.
Yeah, finding a lender. So then number 2 is going to be that pre-approval step.
Not pre-qual.
Pre-approval.
Okay, awesome.
When you get the pre-approval, that's step 2.
Yeah, okay.
And then step 3.
I actually want to mention something on that.
Yeah.
I know we're kind of going back and forth here, but
no worries.
The most important thing about getting a pre-approval or pre-qualification, I'm sorry, pre-approval.
Yeah. Not pre-qual, dude.
No, not a pre. Yeah, sorry. The most important thing about getting a pre-qualification is, like, it gives you a really good idea of what kind of home, like, of what like your buying power is.
Yeah.
Like you could go to all the homes in Washington with a pre-qualification, and then let's say you found a home and you're like, oh my God, Bruce, I love this house. Let's put an offer in today, right?
Yeah.
And then we only have a pre-qual. I only have a pre-qual, right? And then we put in an offer and I can't get approved for the loan. Like, I spent so much emotional like effort to find this home just to be a crush.
Yeah.
And I can't get the home. I'm emotionally damaged at that point.
Destroyed, can't come back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like, I may not even want to buy a home after that. So like in the long run, it saves a lot of time on not just your end, but also your agent's end and everyone else's time, the seller's end.
Yeah.
To be pre-qualified.
And yeah, no, being certain, just like not looking above your budget or
Essentially.
not looking below your budget too. Like if you only think you could, afford this number, but you can actually go up to here, that might be something good to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And another thing is like, let's say you're pre-qualified for like a $800,000 loan, but you want to buy a $500,000 loan. Okay. That doesn't, you can for sure buy that $500,000 loan, but you don't have to use the full amount of $800,000.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think a lot of people kind of think like, oh, like $800,000 home, or like,
you kind of,
I guess in the higher sense, like $1.5 million home loan. I'm gonna buy like a 1.5. Let's say the home that you really, really liked was a 1.2. Right. You don't have to go for the 1.5.
No, that's just your limit. And you're deciding what you're comfortable with first and foremost.
Yeah, and that's like monthly payment too.
Yeah, it's your own choice there.
Yeah. But okay, so step 3.
Then step 3. Step 3 was searching for your home.
Mm-hmm.
Actually looking out, going to different touring houses. This is really fun, right? Mm-hmm. This is just like, what am I, I could put a couch over there, like just kind of visualizing yourself in the home.
You can, your imagination
is,
you can, the sky is your limit with your imagination when it comes to that. And it's really fun imagining like, oh man, like I go to these open houses and I'm like, I could live here. Like I put a TV right here. I'd have a little corner over here where I can read or like enjoy the natural light,
Totally.
Like yeah.
Totally. Get some ideas.
A little too many times. Not gonna lie, but
yeah.
All right, step 4.
Step 4 is putting in the offer and then closing on your home. So this is really where the action happens, basically. I mean, your real estate agents are basically...
I mean, you need a real estate agent at this point. So hopefully, as viewers, you guys have agents when you're putting in an offer. Unless if you're a real estate agent yourself. But
I think of like a wedding, manager. Like... or wedding planner. Most people like don't plan, like, you want someone there to like plan and coordinate everything that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of like in this, like in the same vein, like coordinating everything, making sure that like title is good, making sure that like the lending office is doing its job.
Yeah.
And kind of keeping everything in check.
Yeah.
And then, scheduling that home inspection, scheduling everything.
Mm.
So there also is that part, keeping everything in check and managing that. And as the buyer, you you're pretty much not doing much there.
Yeah, you
You're
as
maybe
the
attending-
buyer, the experience is that, hey, Bruce, I want to put in an offer, and then like you take care of everything. But obviously, when problems come up, you tell me. But like as a good agent, as yourself, you'd be like, let me take care of it. I just wanted to be transparent with you.
Let you know what's going on.
Let me keep me in the loop. But like you're in the trenches working, and getting that offer. Like
summarized
everything.
it perfectly.
Yeah,
I
awesome.
summarized it perfectly.
Awesome, nice.
For sure. Okay, well, I guess that's good that's us for today.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to put in the comment box.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. And comment below.
Comment below, or if you have any other topics that you'd like to hear us talk about, and we'd love to take your guys' considerations and see if we can add it to our podcast. And we hope that you guys took maybe one or two things, maybe three or four, a couple of things from our conversation today. But thank you guys for joining in and listening to our conversation.
Totally.
Sounds good.
See you next time for the Modernism Podcast.
Bye now.